What's up, touch designers? Let's make this audio-reactive alien head named Bob. This video is split up into 4 sections. In section 1, we make the alien head. In section 2, we make a simple GCLR setup. Then in section 3, we make the eyes of the alien. And in section 4, we make the whole design audio-reactive so that the alien head bobs up and down every time the bass hits, and the eyes flash every time the snare hits. You can use this design for a party, for Halloween, for a DJ or VJ set, for an art installation, or whatever you want. You can also download this actual project file that you see on my screen now if you don't want to spend the time building this file and you just want to start your party. Okay, here we go. Let's get weird. Let's clear out all these operators and let's go ahead and press tab on the keyboard, and then let's go to the SOP category. And from that SOP category, we are just going to click on tube. So go ahead and click on tube and drop that somewhere in the canvas area. Now what we're going to do is make this tube tapered to make the alien head. So what we're going to do is go over to the parameters of this tube, and we're going to change the Y value of the radius parameter to about 0.2. And when we zoom out, we can see that that tapered the bottom half of the tube. And now let's go in and change the height of the tube. So let's go ahead and change that height to about 1.24. All right, let's switch back over to our reference file. And in here, you can see that we have a cap operator next. So let's go ahead and add a cap. Let's press tab on the keyboard, and from the SOP category, we just want to click on cap. So go ahead and click on cap, place that to the right of the tube, and then connect the two together. Okay, so now for the cap operator, in the parameters for that, we're going to click on U. So go ahead and click on the U tab, and then change first U cap to end cap rounded, and change last U cap to end cap rounded. So as you can see, that added a cap to the top and bottom of our tube, and that should basically complete the alien head. So let's zoom out. Okay, now let's get this stuff to appear in the background of TouchDesigner so that we can actually get a more produced feel, so that we can actually work with something here. So what we're going to do, we're going to add a standard set of operators after this, which I call the GCLR setup. And basically that just means a geometry, a camera, a light, and a render. So let's do that right now. What we're going to do now is we're going to zoom in. I'm just going to zoom in so that you can see this. We're going to right click on these 2 little blue squares here, which is the output area of the cap operator. So right click on those 2 blue squares, and then click on the comp category. And then from comp, you just want to click on geometry. So go ahead and click on geometry and place that somewhere to the right of the cap operator. So I'm going to zoom out, and the next operator that we're going to add is a camera operator. So press tab on the keyboard and then just click on camera in the comp operator category and place the camera somewhere above the geo. Now let's add a light. So let's press tab on the keyboard, and from the comp category, once again, let's go ahead and click on light and drop that somewhere near the camera. And last but not least, let's press tab on the keyboard one more time. This time go to the top category, and from the top category, we want to click on render. So go ahead and click on render right there, and boom. Drop the render somewhere next to those operators, and you can see that the line's automatically connected to feed some inputs into render. So now our object is being rendered with these operators. So press display in the bottom of the render operator. So let's zoom in, and if you look here, there's that blue button, that little blue circle. Press on that blue circle to make this display in the background of TouchDesigner. So we can make that happen because our object is being rendered, and now we can make it show up in the background of TouchDesigner. Okay, so now at this point, as you can see, the alien head is quite boxy, and that is just a setting. So let's go to the cap parameters, and in the cap parameters, let's just make the number of divisions 40 instead of 4. And let's also change that second divisions parameter from 4 to 40. And now you can see that the top cap is rounded as well. So let's just take a quick look. So here is our reference file. I'm just going to show you where we're at now. We added a tube, we added a cap, we added a geometry, a camera, a light, and a render. At this point, we're going to do this section here, which is adding a Fong and a couple of image files to apply a texture or a surface onto our geometry. So let's do that right now. So let's put a texture on our alien head. So at this point, let's press Tab on the keyboard, and then let's just go into the materials category, and in materials, let's just click on Fong, and then drop Fong below Geo. Now let's go ahead and open our web browser. And in our web browser, just search for something like green alien skin texture. And in the search results, you should see the actual file that I used right here. Go ahead and click on that file. And then you can right click on that file and click Save Image As. Just save that to your computer. Call it something easy to recognize. I'm going to call it something like alien skin. So now let's go back to TouchDesigner. And now let's drag in that image file. Here is our image file right here. Let's go ahead and drag this image file and drop that image file into TouchDesigner just like that. And let's go ahead and click on Fong and then drag and drop Fong onto Geo. And when the border of Geo is green, we can drop Fong and then click on Parm Material, which is short for material parameter. So we just applied the Fong to the Geo as a material. Now we are just going to apply the alien skin to the Fong as a color map. So go ahead and click on alien skin, drag that onto Fong, and when the border of Fong is green, go ahead and drop alien skin, and then click on color map. And so now that changed the map or the texture of our sphere, our alien head, to have a skin-like texture. You can see that part of the alien head texture doesn't look the way we want it to, so let's fix that right now. So in between the cap and the geo operators, go ahead and right click on this blue line here. So when that turns yellow, right click and then click on Insert Operator. And at this point, we just want to click on the texture operator from the SOPs category. So click on Texture and then drop Texture between cap and geo. And now you can see that it applied the texture in a much better way. And in fact, this looks better than the first time I made this file. So we are doing really well. Cool. So our alien head now has a texture applied to it. At this point, we can basically just add some eyes to the alien head, add a little bit of movement, and we're done. Cool, so I am looking at our reference file now. Once again, just to show you what is happening, we have done most of the stuff to make the alien head. We rendered that alien head and we applied the texture or the image file to that alien head. Now let's make the eyes. So to do that, we're going to start off with another sphere. Then we're going to make a copy of that sphere to make the other eye. And then we're going to do just the same thing we did with the head, which is apply a texture operator and then a geometry, a Fong, and an image file to add texture to the eyes. So let's go ahead and switch back to the file we're working with and add a sphere. Cool, here we go. So let's go ahead and drag a little bit so we have some room below our tube, below our alien head. I'm going to close the palette because that's in our way. So here we go. Let's go ahead and press Tab on the keyboard. And then in the SOPs category, we're going to click on Sphere. Let's find Sphere. There is Sphere right there. Click on Sphere, drop that somewhere below the tube so we can try to keep things organized. So now that we have our sphere, let's make a copy of that sphere to make the other eye. And yes, we're making the eyes right now. So let's go ahead and press Tab on the keyboard. And then in the SOPs category, we're just going to click on Copy. So there's Copy right about there. Let's click on Copy, drop that somewhere in the canvas area to the right of Sphere. And now let's connect sphere to copy. So go ahead and connect those, and now we have a copy. Now in the parameters for the copy operator, let's take a look at those, and let's change number of copies to 2. And now if we zoom back out, we should have 2 copies, but the copies are on top of each other. So the translate parameter of the copy operator is what we need to change. So if we change this from 0 to like 0.3 and then zoom out, now we have 2 spheres. They're just kind of still overlapping each other. So if we change this to, I don't know, 0. Whatever, or 2. Let's change it to 2. Now we have 2 spheres. So there we go. There are our 2 spheres right there. And we have copied our first sphere to make a second eyeball. All right, so let's just zoom back out and continue on. So now let's get this sphere or these eyeballs to render just the same way we did with the alien head. So we're going to add a couple of operators over here to get that to render. So what we're going to do is right-click on the output area of the copy operator. So right-click on those 2 square blue dots. And then what we want to do is in the OP Create dialog, you just want to go to the comp category. So click on comp and then click on geometry. Click on geometry and place that somewhere to the right of copy. I'm going to try and put that below our other geo. And you can see that that is our other shape there. So let's go ahead and reduce the size of this sphere. Let's click on the sphere and go to the properties or the parameters of that sphere. And in the radius, let's just go ahead and dial that down to, I don't know, 0.5 or something. And let's zoom back out. So what I did here in the parameters of the sphere operator is I just changed the radius from 1 to 0.5, and that made the sphere a little bit smaller. I can't see the second sphere, so what we can do is it's most likely just off the screen or out of view somewhere. So let's go ahead and translate this. So let's just change the X value of the center parameter. I'm going to dial that down and you can see our second sphere appear. So I'm just going to drag this value until it looks like we're kind of almost centered on the alien head there. And then I'm just going to tweak these parameters until it looks like we have eyeballs. Okay, so once again, I'm just messing with the parameters of the sphere operator and the copy operator that we're using to make the eyes of the alien. And I noticed that one thing I had to do is go into the copy operator parameters and change the translate X parameter every time I change something in the sphere operator. Just a quick note, so that's something you can change to change the spacing of the eyes, basically. So just to show you an example of how I tweak these settings, I'm at the sphere operator. I need these eyes basically to move to the right. So I go to the center parameter and I'm going to go to the X value. And then for the X value, I'm going to click on that and just drag and tweak that until it looks like those eyes are centered. And it does look like they're pretty centered, but I think they're going off of the face a little bit too much. So what I'm going to do is go back to the copy operator parameters, and in this translate X value, I'm going to change that once again to make the eyes a little bit closer together, maybe like that. And then if I go back to the sphere parameter and change that center parameter X value to go to the right a little bit, it looks like the eyes are a little bit more actually realistic. So anyway, just tweaking these parameters, and I'm going to kind of drag off of the screen so you can see more of the face there. And by the way, if you can't see the entire alien head, go ahead and click on that button that says Viewer Active on your camera operator. So click on that Viewer Active button, and then you can scroll out. Like with my trackpad, I'm using a scroll out gesture, and then you can see that zooms the camera out for you. So there we go, there's the alien head there. And by the way, I'm going to show you the exact parameter values for the sphere and the copy operator that I used. So first is the sphere. Let's take a look at those values. Here are those values there. Now let's take a look at the parameters for the copy operator, so you can duplicate these if you want. So let's take a look at these. Cool, so now we have our alien head with eyeballs, and now we can add a texture to those alien eyes just the same way that we did with the alien head. So those eyeballs can have a cool texture on them as well. So let's do that right now. Okay, so what we're going to do now is add some texture or a surface onto the eyes of the alien. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to Google Images. We're going to search for blue-green alien eye texture, and then we're going to select this image here. On the right-hand side, we're going to right-click and click Save Image As. Name that something easy to remember. Go back to TouchDesigner, drag that image file into TouchDesigner, and then press Tab on the keyboard. Go to the Materials category, and then click on Phong. Just like this, go ahead and drop Phong into the canvas area, and then drag and drop Phong onto Geo. and then click parameter material. Now drag and drop your image file onto Fong, and then click on parameter color map. Now the alien eyes are the color of our image file. Now let's right click on the line connecting from copy to geo, and let's go ahead and click insert operator. And then we're going to click on texture and drop texture in between copy and geo. Now in the parameters for our texture operator, we're going to change the scale from 1 to 1.5. And we're going to change this rotate parameter from 0 to about 42. And when we zoom out, we can see that kind of approximately gets the eyes looking almost okay. But if you look closely, the black background of our image file is creating this black area in our eyes. Let's get that area to look more like the skin of the face so that it almost looks like those are eyelids there. So let's do that right now. So what we're going to do is get rid of the black background in this image file. So let's make a little bit of room to add an operator or two there. Let's go ahead and right click on this output area of this image file. So right click on the purple squares, and then click on chroma key and drop that after our alien skin. Now the way that we're going to get rid of the black background from this operator is just use the parameters in the chroma key operator, and we're just going to watch the operator window here as we adjust the values in the parameters until that black area is gone. And I know that our hue max parameter will adjust that. So if we dial that down, you can see the background is starting to fade in our operator. And once that background is mostly gone, I can call that good. So roughly at about 200 for our hue max and our chroma key operator to get rid of that background. Now let's make sure that our Fong is utilizing our chroma operator instead of the alien skin operator. So drag and drop chroma onto Fong and click color map. And then you can see that now the eyes of the alien are semi-transparent instead of black. Now what we're going to do is layer this chroma operator on top of the alien skin operator by using a composite operator. So let's go ahead and double click in the canvas area here. Under tops, let's click on composite and drop that after our chroma operator. Now we're going to connect chroma to comp, and then we're going to connect the output of our original green alien skin into comp as well, just like this. So now you can see that our comp operator has composited our two images together, but it's not doing it in the way that we want. So we're going to go to the parameters for our comp operator for the operation parameter. And instead of multiply, we're going to change that to a top or a top. So after we change the operation to a top, you can see that in this little parameter window here, this is doing what we want it to do. It's the eye on top of the skin. So now let's just drag and drop our comp operator onto our Fong to make sure our Fong is using that color map. And there we go. We have something that kind of looks like alien eyes. You can see we have some kind of black areas around there that we can fix. And here we go. It looks like if I just go to the chroma operator and adjust that hue max value, that'll make some more of those black areas appear. So there we go. That looks a little better, maybe around 192. So anyway, our alien has eyes now. It has eyelids, or it looks like it has eyelids, and that's pretty much all there is for this area here. Now that our alien has some pretty cool looking eyes, we can animate those eyes or make those eyes audio reactive in the next part of this tutorial. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to make it so the eyes flash a different color whenever the snare drum hits in the audio track that we're listening to. And we're going to make it so that the head bobs or head bangs every time the bass hits or every time there's a rhythm signal, basically. So let's do that now. Okay, here's the last part of this tutorial. Let's make Bob audio reactive. To get our audio file, I used a royalty-free file from joystock.com. I just clicked on the electronics section, and then in the electronics section, there's a song called Future Is Now. This is the song I downloaded and used for our project. So just download that MP3 file, and then go ahead and drag and drop that MP3 file into TouchDesigner just like this. And now let's go ahead and move that operator up to the top of our project. We're going to move that above our camera and our lights, somewhere up here. Now let's go ahead and right-click on the output area of our audio file and then click on Audio Device Out from the Chops category. So click on Audio Device Out, place that after our audio file. And then the song should play through your computer speakers. You can press the bypass button to mute that, by the way. Now let's make sure the palette of TouchDesigner is open. That is this little button right here. So go ahead and click on the palette to open that if it's not open already. And in the Tools category, we just want to click on Audio Analysis. So click on Audio Analysis and drag and drop that into TouchDesigner. And then place that after our audio device out operator and connect audio device out to audio analysis just like this. Now we're going to right click on the output area of our audio analysis operator and we're going to click on null. So just click on null and place that after our audio analysis. And the reason that we place that is because the null operator shows us what channels are coming from our audio analysis, such as low, mid, high, kick detection, snare detection, rhythm, spectral, centroid, FMP, and SMP. We are going to be using kick detection and snare detection for this tutorial. So we're going to make it so that the eyes flash whenever the snare hits, and we're going to make it so the head bobs when the kick hits. So the next step is we need to select one of these channels. So let's go ahead and select one of these two channels by right-clicking on the output area of the null operator, and then just click on the select operator from the chops category, place that somewhere to the right of our null operator. And in the select operator parameters, you can see where it says channel names, that is the parameter that we want to change. So let's go ahead and type in kick detection under channel names, kick detection, like that. And you can see that the select operator is now just getting this one channel value. And if you look at the data or the signal that's coming from this kick detection channel, you can see that it's just 1 or 0. There's no fall off, there's no lag basically. And that would make a very choppy animation. So we're going to add an operator to add some lag. So let's go ahead and right click on the output area of the select operator and then just find lag. There is lag right there. Let's go ahead and click on lag. It's that to the right of our select operator. And in the parameters for our lag operator, let's just leave that X value. Let's change that Y value to 0.6. And then we're going to change our overshoot to 0.5 and 0.5, just like this. We have 0.5 and 0.5. And now if we look at the value that is being output by the lag operator, that's a much different value than what is being output by the select operator. So like I said, instead of just a 1 or 0 signal, this has some fall off or some drop off, so that it's a kind of a more organic signal for our head to move to. Okay, at this point, let's go ahead and add one more operator. Let's go ahead and right click on the output of our lag operator. And in this time, let's click on the math operator, drop that to the right of our lag operator. And this just makes it so that we can modify or adjust whatever signal is coming from lag. We can go to this math operator, then we can go to the multiply add tab, and we can adjust these values to add something before the value. We can multiply the value, or we can add something after the value. So I don't have time to tell you exactly how I came up with these values, but I don't know, for pre-add, I'm going to do 0.1. For multiply, I'm going to do -9. And then for post-add, I'm going to do 0.1. And the reason is this value is going into the negative, and that's because we're going to have the camera rotate in the down direction to make the head bob. So now that we have the value that we want, we're going to apply this value to the alien head, or actually to the camera, to make it look like the alien head is moving, but the camera is actually moving. So I'm going to zoom out here. Let's find our camera operator, and then let's click on our camera operator. Make sure the viewer active is not active, so that we select our cam operator. And one thing that I found that we need to do is change this pivot operator first, or not operator, but parameter. So let's change the pivot parameter on the cam1 operator. We're going to change the pivot values on this cam operator to 10 for the X value. We're going to leave the Y value, and we're going to change Z value to -10. So there are the new values for our pivot parameter, and that's going to make it so that the head bobs in a more natural looking way. Now for the last part to make the head bob, we're just going to adjust the rotate parameter in the X value. And what we're going to do is drag and drop our math operator onto that X parameter of our rotate parameter. So let's go ahead and click this viewer active button on our math operator, just like that. And now that we have that little chevron icon when we hover over our math operator, we know that we can drag and drop that onto the X value of our rotate parameter, and then click on export chop. And then the head should start bobbing every time the bass hits. And what we're going to do is go over here just to watch our channels, our audio channels. And then once the kick detection sends a signal, that should go to our select operator. And then we should apply some lag to that value. And then we can apply math to that value as well. And as you can see, the head is bobbing. Okay, so that takes care of the head movement. Now let's go ahead and get the eyes to be audio reactive so that those flash every time the snare hits. So what we're going to do, we're basically going to do the same thing that we did to make the head move, but we're just going to select a different value. We're going to select the snare value. So we're going to right click on the output area of our null one operator. We're going to click on select, place that to the right of our null operator. And actually that kind of added some lines where we don't really want them. So let's kind of fix that. Now in our select to operator, let's go to our parameters for this operator. And in the channel names, let's type in snare detection. And now we are just getting the snare channel from our audio analysis. Now let's repeat these operators we did to move the head. So let's go ahead and right click on the output area of select to, and then click on lag, and then go ahead and place lag to the right of our select to operator. Now let's right click on the output area of lag, and let's click on math, add math to the right of our lag operator. And in our lag operator, let's change the parameters for that. So we have lag at 0.2 and 0.2, that's okay. For our overshoot, let's go ahead and do 0.1 and 0.1. And now we're going to use this value that is being output to change the color of our eye. So to make that happen, we need to add another operator down here by the eye texture. And what we're going to do is insert an operator in between this chroma key operator and the comp operator that's going to change the color levels of this eye. So let's scoot these two operators over to the left, just like this. Boom, boom. Here we go. We're scooting, scooting. Now we have room for another operator. So let's go ahead and right click on this line in between chroma and comp, and then click on insert operator. And then at this point, let's go ahead and click on the level operator and drop that in between chroma and comp. Now, when we have the level operator selected in the parameters for that, go to the RGBA tab. And if you drag these sliders in here, you can see what happens when we change some of the sliders. It changes the color of that eyeball. And one thing I found is that the high green value right here, high G, if we take that down, it turns our eye to a kind of purple color. And I'll show you what that looks like. There we go. There's our purple eye. So that's pretty cool. And what I ended up doing is making this purple color the default color just by simply dragging our math operator from our audio onto this high green value right here. It's pretty cool. So we just kind of take this snare detection, and after we modify that signal using that select and lag and math, we can drop that math operator onto this high green value. So let's do that right now. So here is our math to operator. Let's click on that viewer active button so we can drag and drop this operator onto a parameter. And since we have our level 1 parameter already selected, we can just drag and drop our math to operator onto our high green value right here, and then click on export chop. So let's do that right now. We're going to drag and drop our math to operator onto our high green value, and then click on X. Now I'm going to hit the space bar to play our audio file and see what happens. And as you can see, when the snare hits, the eyes change color, and the frame rate is really low. I think I just have too much stuff running on my computer, like the screen recorder and stuff like that. But it is looking better. We have the eyes flashing when the snare hits, and we have the head bobbing when the bass hits. Okay, that wraps it up for the alien head. I hope everything worked out for you in this tutorial. If it didn't, do not forget that you can download the actual project file. If you like this tutorial, then go ahead and subscribe to my channel. If you're not already subscribed, press that like button. Make sure to have fun when you use TouchDesigner, and enjoy.